Hey Run Junkies! Run Disney events are unlike any other event in which you may participate, and this week Run Disney just released their Walt Disney World Marathon Weekend official guide. This guide has a ton of great information in it, but I want to hit a few of the highlights that I feel are pretty important for us to know. First, let's talk about the EXPO and packet pickup. You must be there personally with your ID to pick up your bib. You can't pick up someone else's bib for them, and they can't pick it up for you. Packet pickup is at ESPN Wide World of Sports. It's at the south end of the Walt Disney World property. Please note, Dopey Challenge, Goofy Challenge, half marathon, and full marathon runners have to pick their bib up at one building, 5K and 10K are in another building, and t-shirts are in yet another building. It's a lot of walking, especially if you're planning on spending some time at the expo. Disney transportation buses will be available from all resort hotels on site to ESPN Wide World of Sports. If you are participating in the Dopey Challenge or the 5K, you absolutely positively have to pick up your packet on Wednesday, January 4th. Expo hours are from noon until 8 p.m. on that Wednesday. Now here's a tip that I got from the Mickey Mouse and More podcast. There is a mad rush in the first couple of hours that the expo is open, so wait for a few hours before you head in and go maybe mid-afternoon. Also, if you are not running in the 5K or the Dopey Challenge, wait at least until Thursday to go pick up your bib. All start and finish lines are in the Epcot parking lot. The 5K starts at 6 a.m. on Thursday. The rest of the races start at 5:30. The Disney Transportation System buses will run early for all race days. For the 5K, transportation buses start running at 4 o'clock in the morning. For the rest of the days, they might start as early as 3 o'clock. The monorail will also be running on Saturday and Sunday for the half and the full. Those will start running at 3 a.m., but you must be on the monorail by 4 in order to get to your corral start on time. If you are getting to the races by car, do not rely on your GPS to get you there because there will be road closures for all of these races. Expect a lot of delays. You do need to enter the area from the Explore lot, and here is a picture of that right here. You try to access the start area from any other direction, you will be subject to disqualification. At packet pickup, you will receive a plastic bag. This is the only bag you are allowed to use for bag check, and that is located in the finish line area. The official guide says to plan for at least a 20-minute walk from the finish line area where the buses drop you off to the start area. The Epcot parking lot is huge, and they use all of that real estate for the races. Make sure you are planning accordingly to get yourself from the bus drop off to your start corral. You want to be in your start corral at least 30 minutes prior to race start, not your wave start. For the 5K and the 10K races, there are only a handful of waves, so you're looking at least 5 minutes in between waves. In fact, one Facebook page I saw said it was 8 minutes in between waves. For the longer races, you're looking at maybe 2 to 3 minutes in between each corral start. So basically what you want to do is look at your corral letter and do the math. For example, if you are in corral F, you might be standing in your corral for another 20 to 25 minutes before your wave goes off. So here are quick screenshots of all of the race maps. I'm going to go through each one really fast. 5K, the course takes you basically all the way around Epcot. There's one water station at about the halfway point, so plan for that accordingly. This map also gives you a really good idea of how far away the start and the finish lines are, so that might give you an idea of how much time you need to get from one to the other. The 10K runs you out a little wider, but it still stays in and around Epcot. There are 3 water stations. The first is just after 1.5 miles, the second after 3.5 miles, and the third just before mile 5. At around mile 5, the race goes west off of Epcot and the Boardwalk and the Yacht and Beach Club resorts. This might be a great place for friends and family if they're staying on that side of the resort to see you run by. The half marathon takes you through Magic Kingdom and Epcot. There are 9 water stops spread out every 1.5 miles, and they will also have Powerade. Cliff shots are available at the 7.5 mile mark or so. A quick note about these products though, just because they have them doesn't mean you have to take them. If you haven't trained with these products on your training runs, I would steer clear of them during a race. The biggest rule of thumb for any race like this is don't try anything new on race day. Bring what you've used on training runs. And finally, the marathon takes you through Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom, ESPN Sports Complex, Disney Hollywood Studios, and finally Epcot. 19 water stops will also have Powerade. The first food stop is at mile 12, and they seem to appear every 2 miles or so until the finish line. Bananas and candy will also be on this course, as well as sponges. At about mile 17, you are going to see buckets and volunteers handing out these wet, soaking cold sponges. At mile 17, they're going to feel really good. But be careful how you use them. You might not want to just squeeze it over your head no matter how good that feels. You may want to just kind of pat yourself down and keep your core body temperature cool. Now, this is the time to decide whether or not you're going to bring your own water. If you haven't been training by bringing your own water to begin with, now is not the time to start. Now, here's a tip from Catherine in the Train Like a Mother Club Disney Challenge page. She actually recommended going through the park maps from the Walt Disney World website. Figure out where those permanent bathrooms are in the park because they will be open during the race. As you're running past a bathroom, you may notice a really long line, but the next bathroom might not have a very long line, so get to that next one. Here's a tip from Melissa on the Train Like a Mother Club Disney Challenge page. Go to your local Goodwill and pick up a couple of sweatshirts that you can just throw away at the beginning of the race. They're gonna keep you warm while you're standing in the dark, but once you start running, you can ditch them to the side. Don't worry about it because Disney will pick them up and donate them to a charity. A quick note about the kids races. Here's what you need to know if your kids are participating. All of the kids races take place at ESPN Sports Complex. Please keep in mind, they are midday. They are exactly at noon. So it gets really warm. Make sure your kids are dressed appropriately and well hydrated. Recently, Run Disney has added their race photos into their photo pass system that they use in the parks rather than using marathon photo or finisher pics. So if you are visiting the parks and have the photo pass, you can link your bib numbers to that photo pass. But check out page 23 in the guide to see the details on that. There are a lot of other great things happening on the course that you may want to take advantage of or skip altogether. First, there are character stops. These are photo opportunities to get a picture with your favorite character. Again, these are linked to the PhotoPass system. The distances between these character stops will vary, and make sure that you have enough of a time buffer to stop and take that time to get the picture taken. The lines do move fast, but you don't want to do so many character stops that you are in danger of getting swept from the course. I've also heard that on the marathon course, you can actually ride a couple of the rides because by the time you get to that part of the course, that park is open. Again, you want to make sure that you can afford that kind of time. If you're going to ride Expedition Everest, that's a 2.5 minute ride. You'd be surprised at how quickly that 2.5 minutes goes. Now, the guide goes through a lot of race etiquette tips, and I honestly feel that those tips warrant their own video, so that's probably coming up. But here are the tips I would like to point out. First, start in the corral to which you've been assigned. Don't try to sneak up. Now, you can move back to run with a family member or friend who is in a later corral. Don't try to sneak up into an earlier corral. Doing so is grounds for removal from the race. Also, if you are running in a group, that's great, but please pay attention to those people who might be trying to get around your group. Just be cognizant of your surroundings, even though you're running in a group. Try to keep that group narrow as opposed to wide across the race course. Now, at food and water stations, stay right down the middle of that water station until you decide that you are going to go over and get water from a volunteer. If you are stopping for water, pull way over to the side. And my personal tip, I have found that the volunteers at the very end of the water station are the most bored because nobody goes that far. So head all the way to the end of the water station and pick up your water there. Another tip, and this is kind of big, but it seems so simple. Be polite. Whether or not you're passing or being passed, shout out some encouragement to that runner because we all need that encouragement, especially when we're talking 48 miles. Lastly, and probably most importantly about being polite, say thank you to your volunteers. I personally like to declare any race day International Hug a Volunteer Day, so I will randomly choose a volunteer that looks like they really need a hug and I give them one. I also like to take a picture with at least one volunteer because you get a really good idea. They have a special t-shirt that is just for that event, so it kind of documents the event even more. A couple of quick notes about safety. No selfie sticks are allowed and headphones are discouraged. Please make sure you are aware of any announcements that might come over the PA system during the race. Costume guidelines are also important, so please check those out. Most notably, masks of any kind are not allowed, nor are full-length dresses, long capes, or robes like Jedi robes. There are certain things that are allowed and are totally fine. Plastic swords and lightsabers are good, and see-through fairy wings are also fine. Definitely check the guide for more details. As per the Run Disney website, you must keep a pace of 16 minutes per mile or better in order to avoid getting swept from the course. The last people in the race are the balloon ladies, and by all accounts that I've heard, they are actually really sweet. According to a lot of people who have run these races, the balloon ladies will do everything they can to encourage you to keep going. They want to see you finish, so don't be afraid of them. But if you do see them, not that you want to run away from them, but you might want to put on the gas a little bit. They do start the race last. They are at the end of the last corral. So if you are in anything but the last corral, you do have some buffer of time in there before you'll even see them. Now, in recent years, Run Disney races have earned certain nicknames like the Splash and Dash or the Half-Half. Weather is always a concern for any race, and it is the one factor that absolutely no one can control. The race organizers have a right and the responsibility to delay the start of a race or even cancel or shorten an event if conditions become unsafe. Yes, Run Disney wants you to have a fun event, but if conditions become unsafe, the fun goes away. It is their responsibility to take care of you. Remember, this is supposed to be fun, so in order for it to be fun, let Run Disney do their job. Spectators have an opportunity to track you through virtual runner tracking. Run Disney will text or email friends and family that you've chosen to receive updates on your progress of the course. That feature is available at the Run Disney website. Also, there's something called the Cheers Squad. Cheer Zone still had some availability. You get some great stuff with the Cheer Zone package as well as special spectator seating. Meeting up with your support crew after a race is always tricky, so make sure you've planned out exactly where you're gonna meet. In the finish line area, there is a family reunion section. Start there and then try to narrow it down to exactly where you're gonna meet. Have a backup plan if that fails. Now, a couple of things about the official guide I want you to completely ignore until after your race. On page 34, you're gonna find a great series of strengthening exercises to improve your running form. If you haven't been doing those already, don't until after you've recovered from the challenge. 2 weeks from race day is not the time to start something new. But definitely hang on to this guide and try those exercises after you've recovered. The Walt Disney World Marathon is only the first of 9 events covering 3 resort complexes on 2 continents. Other weekends in Florida include the Disney Princess in February, the Star Wars Dark Side weekend in April. There are still slots available for Dark Side, but Princess is already sold out. And Wine and Dine, which happens in November. Registration has not yet opened for that. But that is it for me today. Good night, are we done? Whew, that was a lot. And that was only a fraction of what was actually in the guide. So yeah, take some time, look at the guide. So my question for you today is this: if you are participating in Walt Disney World's Marathon weekend, is this your first, or are you a seasoned veteran? Leave your thoughts, comments, and even your tips in the comment box below, and if you haven't already, give me a thumbs up if you like this video. That's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. Get out there, go find your awesome. We'll see you next time, and until then, happy running.